Hello and welcome to Famous Gays and Lesbians, alleged and otherwise. I'm your host, Thomas Connolly. I happen to be a gay actor living in the gayest city of them all, West Hollywood, California. Now, today's episode is about the LGBT children of celebrities. It's such a different time now than in the golden age of Hollywood. Big stars would have never said a word back then about a child who was different from the norm. Most of them had kids back then. Some were more famous than others for parenting. I don't want to mention any names. Miss Joan Crawford. She got raked over the coals for being an abusive mother in the legendary biography, Mommy Dearest, by her daughter, Christina Crawford. Let's just say that Joan Crawford was not a fan of wire hangers in the house. Christina Crawford was not the only disgruntled child of a celebrity back then. Several other kids wrote some rather nasty, scathing tell-all books about their moms and dads. Oh yeah, some of these kids were the children of Betty Davis, Bing Crosby, Shirley MacLaine, Ronald Reagan, Alfred Hitchcock, Errol Flynn, Ryan O'Neal, to name a few, and they all had less than stellar reviews of their parents. Now, I bring this all up because we seem to be living in a time of less conformity and a greater acceptance of LGBT children for who they really are. Now, my own parents were ultimately accepting of my homosexuality. It was a process. It didn't happen overnight. But my mother said something back then, which really stuck with me. She said, parents have a lot of dreams and expectations for their kids. Being gay usually isn't one of them. And it's true. If a parent is genuinely heterosexual, then it's a whole new learning curve to have an LGBT child. And now here are some exceptional celebrities who graciously and compassionately celebrate their children for who they truly are. Basketball superstar Dwayne Wade recently announced that his 12-year-old child, Zion, will furthermore be known as Zaya, transitioning from male to female. Wade has been very supportive of his daughter's decision. I love this quote of his. He said, "I have learned to keep my mind open, keep my eyes open, keep my heart open, and keep my thoughts open." The talented actress Charlize Theron first introduced her adopted child Jackson to the world as a boy. However, she later told the Daily Mail newspaper, "I thought she was a boy until she looked at me when she was 3 years old and said, 'I am not a boy.' So there you go. I have two beautiful daughters who, just like any parent, I want to protect and I want to see thrive." Next up, the one and only Barbra Streisand. Do we have any Barbra fans out there? If I had known there were so many people on both sides of me, I would have had my nose fixed. Okay, in the interest of full disclosure, I love Barbra Streisand. Now, Barbra's only son, Jason Gould, is a gay man. Have you ever heard Jason sing? He inherited his mother's amazing vocal cords. Barbra has consistently referred to Jason as her pride and joy, and she is a huge outspoken proponent for LGBT rights. Now, I have my own Jason Gould story. In my condo building, I live in unit 315, and in unit 215, Jason Gould used to live right underneath me. Oy vey, I lived for the day that I'd run into Barbra in the elevator. Never happened. Actually, the National Enquirer newspaper ran a headline story that said Barbra Streisand's gay son, Jason Gould, just moved into a brand new gay condo building in West Hollywood. And in an attempt to make Jason some friends, Barbra would go door to door serving hors d'oeuvres. A crep lock, anyone? Well, I waited and waited, but Barbra never knocked on my door. Actually, Jason moved out years ago, but I did meet Elliot Gould once in the lobby. But both Barbra Streisand and Elliot Gould are great examples of loving, caring parents of their gay son, Jason. Moving on, Hollywood royalty Annette Bening and Warren Beatty have a son, Stephen, that is both transgender and gay. Did you get that? Stephen was born Kathleen at birth, and then he wound up transitioning as a man. And then as a man, he realized he was gay. I love that. It shows that gender and sexual orientation are two different things. You have to hear this quote from Stephen. He calls himself a trans man, a faggy queen, a homosexual, a queer, a nerd fighter, a writer, and an artist, and a guy who needs a haircut. His mother, Annette Bening, has also spoken in support of her son. She recently said, "I'm super proud of him, as I am of all my children. I leave it to him to say what he wants about his life. I don't think it's fair for me to speak for any of my kids, quite frankly. Not that I wouldn't like to." Oh, I know how she feels. It's not always easy to keep your mouth shut. The multi-talented Marie Osmond is incredibly supportive of her eldest daughter, Jessica Blassel, who is a lesbian. I love that Marie Osmond is a practicing Mormon, and she has such a progressive attitude for LGBT rights. She recently said, "I believe in my daughter's civil rights. As a mother, I don't think God made one color flower. I think he made many." You go, girl, and Marie Osmond looks great in those Nutrisystem commercials. The wonderful actress Sybil Shepherd has a lesbian daughter, Ariel Shepherd Oppenheimer, who married in 2019, and a bisexual daughter, Clementine Ford. You might recognize Clementine from The Young and the Restless. Incidentally, I think Sybil Shepherd is one of the most beautiful actresses of all time. Proof in point, The Last Picture Show. If you haven't seen that movie, check it out. Now, R. Kelly may have his share of troubles, that inconvenient prison sentence for starters, but he has come out and publicly supported his transgender son, Jaya. He recently said, "It's not about me no more. Grammar's not really his thing. It's about my three lovely, lovely kids." Good for you, R. Kelly. Next up, the incomparable Cher. Now, Cher has had quite the journey with her transgender son, Chaz Bono. Now, just as many gay men first come out as bisexual before they admit they're actually just gay, Chaz Bono first came out as a lesbian before he actually realized he was a transgender man. Now, interestingly enough, Cher, the gay icon she is, had some difficulty when Chaz came out as a lesbian. Cher said she hoped her daughter would grow up, get married, and then get happily divorced, just like she did. But that's why we love Cher. She's so transparent and honest about everything. Naturally, Cher totally came around, and she's a huge outspoken advocate and proponent for LGBT rights. Recently, Cher was photographed with her son, Chaz Bono, and Cher said, "I am so proud of him. He's never been happier." And last on our list is the magnificent Sally Field. My favorite line from Sally Field is from the movie Soap Dish. She plays this cheesy soap opera actress, and she says, "If I'm guilty of anything, I'm guilty of loving you." But I digress. Sally's youngest son, Sam Grissom, is openly gay. And this is the best part. Sally tried to match him up with Olympic figure skater Adam Rippon. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out, but we love your chutzpah, Sally. Well, that's about it for this episode. And in conclusion, seems like we've ushered in a new era of glowing acceptance for LGBT children of celebrities. And who gets more attention in our country than celebrities? This is Thomas Connolly for Famous Gays and Lesbians, Alleged and Otherwise. If you like what you see, could you please like and subscribe? That would really help sustain our show. Until next time, bye-bye.